We are back on the Morgan Streetman Show. And Morgan, we're talking during the break, and I'm asking you, how can that happen where our U.S. government can make a decision to not take out the suicide bomber, which they have good reason and good intel to believe that's what he's going to do,
right?
And then make this horrifying mistake and take out a family? How does that happen? Where is the accountability there? And if they were listening to the Taliban as to not take out the shooter, or the suicide bomber, I should say, if they were following what they suggested on that, why didn't they double check with them on this other family?
Well, yeah, did they have to ask the Taliban? I mean, this is in Kabul, right? Did they have to ask the Taliban if they could take out this family? And did they get the permission to shoot on that one? One would think you get the permission to shoot on one, and it was permission not to shoot. You don't get the permission, but you ask for the permission on one. Wouldn't you think you'd ask for it on the other if we're just doing what the Taliban says now, which apparently is the case? And again, we just have to flip back to why on the one you don't pull the trigger and on the other you do pull the trigger. What kind of decision process is that? And is this just negligence? Is this just, one more screw up, one more screw up? Well, I mean, it's just screw up after screw up, isn't it? Or could this be intentional? I mean, you see this many screw ups, don't you have to wonder? I mean, could you make this many mistakes? Could we botch this badly as it has been botched? And another place it's been botched is who we brought over. You know, the State Department has now admitted that the majority of the qualified Afghans who were applying for special immigrant visas did not get evacuated. There were 88,000 of them who applied for the SIVs. You know how many actually got evacuated of these applicants who were qualified to get the special immigrant visa? 6,000. Okay? That's how many U.S. citizens they got out. 6,000. So we got out 6,000 Afghans who helped us in the war effort, even though there were 88,000 trying to get out. We got out 6,000 U.S. citizens. Then they now say, we left a few behind. Maybe there's a couple hundred left behind. You remember when they were originally reporting there were 10 to 15,000 U.S. citizens in Afghanistan? Okay, so did we get out 6,000 out of 10 to 15,000, or did we get 6,000 out of 6,200? Oh, well, you got to understand, the rest just didn't want to leave. I mean, are you kidding me? You wouldn't want to get out of Afghanistan when the Taliban's taking back over, starting to execute people in the streets? I highly doubt that. I don't believe that nobody wanted to get out. Okay, the other 9,000 just thought, well, we'll just hang around, see what happens. I mean, what could possibly go wrong, right? But how could we not get, I mean, so doesn't this beg the question? Because, by the way, we evacuated, they say the final numbers, 122,000 people. Okay, so 6,000 of those were U.S. citizens, approximately. 6,000 of those were Afghans that helped us, approximately. That's 12,000. So who are the other 110,000 people? I mean, who have we brought over to this country? And by the way, a lot of them have been stationed at U.S. military bases. And, a story that I didn't put in the show plan, Roxy, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter. Some of them are complaining about the food. They say, I don't want to complain, but... Now, anytime you hear something like that, anything said before the but is untrue. So I don't want to complain is false. So I don't want to complain, but this is what I got served for dinner. Now, by the way, it looks like some of it's already been eaten, but there's actually a pretty nice portion of grilled chicken. There's fresh fruit, and there's bread. And I don't know what you expect. What kind of free meals were you getting in Afghanistan? What kind of free meals were you getting over there? Okay, we bring you over to this country. We put you up in housing. Somebody gives you a phone, probably an Obama phone. Somebody gives you a phone. I'm sure they're giving them all kinds of benefits. You get food. You want to compare that food to what the people that are being held in solitary confinement for going into the Capitol on January 6th are getting? Because they're getting, according to what they're saying, rotting sandwiches that have like rotting meat inside of them, just disgusting, inedible food. Meanwhile, you're getting nice grilled chicken, fresh fruit, some bread, but you got a complaint. You want to lodge a complaint against America. We're not doing enough for you. So who are these 110,000 people that we've brought over here? Well, some people are reporting that they actually include quite a few terrorists. Okay, there was already apparently 100 folks who've come into the U.S. who've been flagged as being on the U.S. terrorist watch list. By the way, this is also the same for those being taken into Europe. They're having a lot of these people pop up as potential terrorists on the watch list. Taliban members, folks that have been previously deported for serious crimes. In fact, there's a 47-year-old Afghan national named Gator Haidari who was flown into Dulles International Airport in Virginia, and he had actually been deported from the U.S. in 2017 for rape. He'd been convicted for rape and then deported. So he made it onto the plane, tried to make it back into our country. Now, how many other people like him who are going to be criminals, who are going to be terrorists, are among those 110,000? And by the way, if you read up on this, the answer is we don't have any idea. We don't know who these people are. We don't have good documentation on them. We just don't know who they are. But let's bring them into our country. Let's load them up with benefits. And can you imagine they're not going to have a lot of opportunity coming to a country where, you know, by the way, our economy's not doing that great as it is because of all the stupid lockdowns and other issues. So now they're going to load them up with government benefits, give them a phone, give them a SNAP card, you know, this Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, SNAP, you know, what we used to call food stamps. Give them that, you know, put them up in housing. You know, there's going to be all kinds of groups probably paid for by George Soros and others that are going to be donating to them and giving them stuff. And they are going to turn into Democrats. They're going to turn into socialists because that's what they're being taught from day one in this country is, hey, this is about the free stuff you get. Well, it ain't free. Some of us are paying for it. Okay, other people who got left behind, because there were some other people who are pretty important who got left behind, like the Afghan interpreter who had a part in rescuing Joe Biden when Joe Biden's Black Hawk helicopter that he was on with Senator John Kerry and Senator Chuck Hagel at the time got caught in a terrible snowstorm in Afghanistan in 2008 and actually had to make an emergency landing in a valley in Afghanistan. And this person who apparently helped rescue Joe Biden and the others from this situation, he got left behind. He's been trying to get out of Afghanistan for years with his wife and 4 children, and he hasn't been able to get out. We haven't brought him over in the meantime, and he actually wrote a message to the president and said, "Hello, Mr. President, save me and my family. Please don't forget me here." But guess what? Joe Biden doesn't care. Joe Biden's napping, or he's having ice cream, or he's up in Delaware taking another vacation, just like he was this weekend, just like he was last weekend. He goes to Delaware, you notice, every single weekend. I mean, I wonder what's going on up there. I mean, is it just a vacation, or, you know, is this a time for him to get a little regeneration, a little bit of a pick-me-up, perhaps? Who knows? But the point is, he doesn't care about this guy, obviously. We don't care about this guy, obviously. I mean, some of us do, but we got no ability to do anything about it. But he gets left behind, just like the approximately 80,000 other SIV applicants who had legitimate basis to get on those planes. They got left behind, and we brought a different 80,000 people over instead. Some other folks that got left behind were some working dogs that were over there. And, of course, the Pentagon's trying to dodge this one. They've come out. I mean, there's a lot of people reporting on this, by the way. There's even one particular American who stayed behind because they were leaving the service dogs, and she wouldn't leave without the service dogs. So she stayed behind to try and help the service dogs. And they're trying to get, you know, people are trying to organize some way to get something for them because, by the way, they're just going to kill these dogs, the Taliban will. But the U.S. military, of course, puts out a press release saying to correct erroneous reports, the U.S. military did not leave any dogs in cages at Hamid Karzai International Airport, including the reported military working dogs. Well, okay, that's right, because they opened the cages, right? That's what they did. They opened the cages, and there's all kinds of photos and videos of these dogs running around the airport. They opened the cages, and they were instructed to open the dog food bags and dump them out on the tarmac so the dogs would have something to eat. And these dogs were not technically military dogs. They were contract working dogs. So they serve alongside the military dogs, and they're used by contractors. But guess what? Same kind of dog, same kind of job. We took them over there. Who do you think paid the contractors? Who do you think put out the contract for us to have the contract dogs over there? We did. The U.S. military did. And now you got the Pentagon, you know, releasing some statement that's so carefully worded to dodge any responsibility that we just left these, I think it's like 50 dogs to die over there, okay? Just like we left the people that helped us to die over there. You know what else we left over there? Apparently about 600,000 weapons. And you can see the Taliban, we just armed the Taliban. They're riding around. You can see them. They've got new M4s. That's the U.S. military. M16 is now an M4. Okay, same thing basically as an AR-15, except for it shoots 3-round burst and or full auto, most likely just 3-round burst. Point is, these are serious military weapons, and you can see the Taliban, they've ditched those, 35-year-old AKs, and wouldn't you? And they're now carrying AR-15s or M4s. And by the way, we left another 75,000 military vehicles, something like 20,000 Humvees, a bunch of armored personnel carriers, even a few tanks. And we left 200 aircraft, including Black Hawk helicopters, including attack aircraft. We left all kinds of material over there. We could have destroyed that, by the way, before we left. I don't know why we had to just leave it intact to say, hey, guys, come and get it. And by the way, if you should happen to give some to China so they could get some of our technology, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and do that. Or if you want to give it to Pakistan, go ahead and do that. Apparently, we left like 16,000 night vision goggles over there. I mean, all kinds of military material, war material we left over there for no good reason. We spent $85 billion on the Afghan army. I mean, what did they do? They ran. They folded and ran. So $85 billion. What did that buy us? We could have bought like 11 brand new aircraft carriers for that.
What did the Taliban look at how much better the Taliban are in this year than when we first got there?
Yeah. Well, we've just armed them up. We've given them the tools to totally oppress the people and to control that country. Meanwhile, at the supposed solemn transfer of our 13 U.S. service members over here, President Biden couldn't stop checking his watch. This is your president, folks. Can't stop checking his watch. By some counts, he checked his watch 11 times during the ceremony. I mean, does he really need to know what time it is, or is he getting messages on his watch like so many people do? I don't know. But you know what? At that ceremony, take your darn watch off, put it in your pocket, pay attention, and try to at least pretend to care about the service members that you're responsible for their deaths.
Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.